Hello and welcome and namaste from New Delhi. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Gautam Roy. Coming up over the next 30 minutes. Foreign ministers of Greenland and Denmark are to meet US Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio on Wednesday amid Trump's takeover talks. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar launches BRICS 2026 website, logo and theme as India assumes BRICS presidency from the 1st of January. Says India will bring together countries for global welfare. And internet shutdown in Iran for over 108 hours now, but international calls get through as Trump imposes 25% additional tariff on nations doing business with the Islamic Republic. Foreign ministers of Denmark and Greenland will meet US Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio on Wednesday, the Danish foreign minister said, amid President Donald Trump's push to take control of the Arctic island. Danish foreign minister and defense minister on Tuesday attended a meeting of the Foreign Policy Council with Denmark's relationship with the United States on the agenda. Trump has repeatedly said Washington must own Greenland to prevent Russia or China from occupying the strategically located and minerals-rich Arctic territory, adding that US military presence there is just not enough. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar launched the official website and logo of India's BRICS Presidency 2026 today. Addressing the event, the minister said that the logo has a picture of lotus with a namaste as the core element, which depicts unity and diversity. He added that India's BRICS chairship will seek to bring together the potential of BRICS countries for greater global welfare, inspired by the guidance of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Dr. Jaishankar also said that India's chairship theme, Building for Resilience, Innovation, Cooperation and Sustainability, reflects the belief that cooperation among BRICS members can help address shared challenges in a balanced and inclusive manner.
The theme underscores the importance of strengthening capacities, promoting innovation, and ensuring sustainable development for the benefit of all. The logo that we unveiled today reflects this approach. It combines elements of tradition and modernity, and the petals incorporate the colors of all BRICS member countries, representing unity in diversity and a strong sense of shared purpose. The logo conveys the idea that BRICS draws strength from the collective contributions of its members while respecting their distinct identities.
Iran's nationwide protests entered third week with hundreds reported dead and thousands arrested as US President Donald Trump considers military and non-military options and Tehran warns against US intervention. Trump said countries that do business with Tehran will face a new 25% tariff. Iran earlier said it's ready to talk with the US based on mutual respect, but is prepared for war. Meanwhile, nationwide shutdown of the internet by Iranian authorities has now lasted over 108 hours, although some international calls have been getting through. More details in this report.
Protests in Iran sparked by the nation's struggling economy after years of international sanctions have resulted in hundreds of deaths, drawing the condemnation of human rights organizations. Human rights activists news agency has put the death toll at more than 600. It adds that more than 10,000 people have been detained. The Iranian government announced a 3-day nationwide mourning period from Monday to honor police officers, security personnel and civilians killed during the disturbances. The internet and other communications remain largely cut off, which has made it difficult to track the full scope of the movement. Iran has claimed full control of the country after 2 weeks of violent unrest, pinning the blame of unrest on US and Israel.
At present, our security forces have full control in all cities across the country. There is also complete intelligence dominance. highly valuable information has been obtained from terrorist elements inside the country and their contact abroad. We know in which countries the planning meetings took place, and we will reveal that in due course.
Tehran has indicated that it was keeping communication channels with Washington open as President Trump considered how to respond to Iran's deadly crackdown on nationwide protests. US President Donald Trump reaffirmed that Iran wants to negotiate but warned that he may still carry out strikes against the country over its violent crackdown on protests.
Well, I think one thing President Trump is very good at is always keeping all of his options on the table, and airstrikes would be one of the many, many options that are on the table for the commander-in-chief. Diplomacy is always the first option for the president. He's told all of you last night that what you're hearing publicly from the Iranian regime is quite differently from the messages the administration is receiving privately, and I think the president has an interest in exploring those messages. However, with that said, the president has shown he's unafraid to use military options if and when he deems necessary, and nobody knows that better than Iran.
The US is also intensifying economic stranglehold on Iran. On Monday, Trump said that countries doing business with Iran will pay a tariff of 25% on any and all business being done with the United States of America. The United States Virtual Embassy in Iran issued an advisory for American citizens to leave Iran now. In its advisory, the embassy said that the protests across the country are escalating and could turn violent, leading to arrests, injuries and severe disruptions to daily life. Anamika Pandey's report, DD India.
Qatar on Tuesday warned that any military escalation between the United States and Iran would have catastrophic consequences for the region, urging restraint amid rising tensions. Foreign Ministry spokesperson Majid Al-Ansari said Doha is working with regional and international partners to pursue a diplomatic solution. The warning comes after the White House said President Trump is considering airstrikes on Iran over its crackdown on protests.
We know that any escalation of the sort that you described would have catastrophic results in the region and beyond, and therefore we want to avoid that as much as possible.
The United Nations on Tuesday called for a prompt and impartial inquiry after a federal immigration officer fatally shot a protester in Minneapolis last week. The UN Human Rights Office expressed serious concern over the death of 37-year-old Renee Nicole Good, who was killed in her car by an Immigration and Customs Enforcement agent or ICE agent in the Midwestern city. UN spokesperson in Geneva said that under international human rights law, lethal force may only be used as a last resort against someone posing an imminent threat to life. Meanwhile, demonstrators have urged authorities to conduct a thorough investigation into the circumstances surrounding the fatal incident. French farmers drove hundreds of tractors into Paris on Tuesday again, staging their second major protest in a week against the EU-Mercosur trade deal, which they say threatens local agriculture with cheaper imports from South America. The protests, led by the powerful farm union FNSEA, come amid months of farmer unrest in France and across the European Union over the proposed agreement and broader domestic grievances. Police estimated around 350 tractors joined Tuesday's demonstration, with convoys converging near the Arc de Triomphe and outside the French Parliament. Pressure on the French government has intensified after most EU member states approved the Mercosur deal on Friday, despite France's opposition, prompting fresh political backlash and no confidence motions from opposition parties. Japan and South Korea aim to deepen security and economic ties to counter growing tension in East Asia, their leader said on Tuesday after a summit meeting in Japan. Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi and South Korean President Lee Jae-myung discussed industrial supply chains, AI, denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula, and cooperation with mutual allies. Takaichi emphasized the importance of Japan-South Korea relations and the need to grow further.
両国を取り巻く Amid an increasingly challenging strategic environment surrounding both nations, the importance of Japan-South Korea relations and Japan-South Korea-US cooperation continues to grow. President Lee and I shared recognition of the strategic importance of Japan-South Korea relations and confirmed that both countries to play a role in regional stability.
Hungary will hold a general election on the 12th of April. EU's longest-serving current leader, Prime Minister Viktor Orban, faces an unprecedented challenge. Orban has been in power for 16 straight years. Aiming to win a fifth consecutive term, Orban pitches himself as a safe choice, accusing the EU of fueling the war in neighboring Ukraine by supporting Kyiv's fight against Russia. He has rolled out a slew of welfare measures in recent months, benefiting first-time home buyers, mothers and pensioners. But the party of former government insider turned critic Peter Magyar is seen ahead in opinion polls. Against the backdrop of a stagnant economy, growing discontent with public services and some high-profile scandals shaking confidence in the government. Campaigning is already underway, with Magyar crisscrossing the country holding rallies, while Orban has made high-profile visits to Washington, D.C. and Moscow. Myanmar's dominant pro-military party on Tuesday claimed a majority of elected lower house seats in the country's junta-run polls, which democracy watchdogs say will prolong the armed forces' grip. The military has ruled Myanmar by force for almost all of its post-independence history before a decade-long democratic experiment gave civilian politicians tentative control. But the generals took back power in a 2021 coup, deposing the government of Aung San Suu Kyi, detaining the democratic figurehead and plunging the country into civil war. The junta is overseeing a staggered election. It pledges to return power to the people after the third and final phase of polling on the 25th of this month. And atrocities against Hindus in Bangladesh remain unceasing. A 28-year-old Hindu auto rickshaw driver, Samir Kumar Das, was brutally murdered in Bangladesh's Feni district on Sunday night, with assailants fleeing the scene with his vehicle. According to police and local sources, Samir Kumar Das, also known as Samir Chandra Das, was beaten and stabbed near the Dagan Bhuyan Upazila Health Complex. His battery-operated CNG auto rickshaw was taken by the attackers. Locals discovered his blood-soaked body around 2 in the morning on Monday near Dakshin Karimpur Muhuri Bari and informed the police investigations are ongoing and efforts are being made to identify and arrest those involved. And still to come in this edition of DD India Live. The Indian Army's chief says Operation Sindoor is ongoing and any future misadventure will be met with a decisive response. And the DRDO successfully flight tests man-portable anti-tank guided missile against a moving target.
This week on Defence Dynamics, why India's development of electromagnetic railguns so important for modern battlefield doctrine? What is Drishti 10 and why is it emerging as a critical pillar of India's maritime security? Why India's successful conduct of long-duration ground test of scramjet combustor so strategic for India's hypersonic missile program? And in my take, we decode why Pakistan is pushing the JF-17 across the Islamic world. Watch Defence Dynamics this Wednesday at 8 p.m. IST only on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I am Gautam Roy. Now, the Indian Army has sent out a clear warning and reassurance. Speaking at the Annual Army Day press conference in New Delhi, Army Chief General Upendra Dwivedi said Operation Sindoor is ongoing and any future misadventure will be met with a decisive response.
As you may be aware, Operation Sindoor remains ongoing. Any future misadventure will be resolutely responded to. Here I must acknowledge the proactive role of all stakeholders at the national level, including CAPFs, intelligences, civic bodies, state administration and other ministries, whether it's MHA, MAITI, railways and many more. Operation Sindoor was the best example of tri-service synergy under clear-cut political directive and full freedom to act or respond.
On the security front, General Dwivedi said the situation along the Western Front and in Jammu and Kashmir remains sensitive but firmly under control.
Since 10th May, the situation along the Western Front and J&K remains sensitive but firmly under control. In 2025, 31 terrorists were eliminated, of which 65% were Pakistan origin, including the 3 perpetrators of the Pahalgam attack neutralized in Operation Mahadev. Active local terrorists are now in single digits. Terrorist recruitment is almost non-existent, only 2 in 2025.
The Army Chief also flagged fresh concerns over drone sightings in Jammu and Kashmir, saying that Pakistan has been formally asked to rein in what India describes as cross-border drone intrusions.
जैसे 10 के आसपास तकरीबन 6 से 7 देखे गए थे, 11 और 12 तारीख को 2 से 3 देखे गए हैं। तो ये जो ड्रोन थे, ये मैं समझता हूँ कि डिफेंसिव ड्रोन थे, जो कि ये ऊपर आके देखना चाहते हैं कि हमारे अगेंस्ट कोई कार्रवाई तो नहीं हो रही है। मैं ये मना नहीं कर रहा हूँ, हो सकता है कि वो ये भी देखना चाहें कि कोई कहीं गैप तो नहीं है, इंडियन आर्मी में कोई ढिलाई तो नहीं है, कोई गैप वो जहाँ से वो टेररिस्ट वहाँ से भेज सकें। तो मेरे ख्याल से उनको उसका नेगेटिव जवाब भी मिला होगा, उन्होंने देखा होगा कि आज की तारीख पे कोई ऐसी जगह नहीं है, कोई ऐसे गैप्स नहीं जहाँ से वो भेज सकें। लेकिन ये जरूर है, आज जो हमारी डीजीएमओ स्टॉक हुई है, उस स्टॉक में इसके बारे में जिक्र किया गया है और उनको बताया गया है कि ये हमें मंजूर नहीं है और कृपया करके इस पे लगाम लगाइए। ये उनको ये बता दिया गया है।
India's Defence Research and Development Organization, or DRDO, successfully flight tested the 3rd generation fire and forget man-portable anti-tank guided missile with top attack capability against a moving target in Maharashtra's KK ranges on Monday. The indigenously developed MPATGM consists of state-of-the-art indigenous technologies like imaging infrared homing seeker, all-electric controlled actuation system, fire control system, tandem warhead, propulsion system and high-performance sighting system. The missile can be launched from tripod or military vehicle launcher. India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh has complimented the DRDO, DCPP partners and the industry for the successful test. He termed it as an important step towards Atmanirbhar Bharat, or self-reliant India. A new Responsible Nations Index assessing nations by responsibility rather than power will be launched on the 19th of this month in New Delhi. Covering 154 nations, it draws on transparent global data sets across 3 dimensions: internal, environmental and external responsibility. It evaluates dignity, justice and equity for citizens, climate action and resource use, and a nation's contributions to global peace and stability. The parameters were unveiled at a press briefing by the index's creators.
The reason we believe it has credibility is because it draws upon globally validated data sources. And of the 59 indicators that we have in this opening version, 29 are drawn from World Bank and most of the others from other UN technical agencies such as the World Health Organization or the Food and Agriculture Organization and so on.
Now, developed by the World Intellectual Foundation, Jawaharlal Nehru University and IIM Mumbai, the index reflects India's ethos of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the world is one family. The index aims to generate a global debate on responsible nation-state behavior.
This is the new paradigm. Nobody has endeavored to look at countries in terms of how responsible they are. So this is an original concept which has come from this country. And we want to set a new narrative of how order must operate.
Let's now take a look at some other stories making news around the nation as well. Union Home Minister Amit Shah on Tuesday inaugurated a BSL-4 biocontainment facility at the Gujarat Biotechnology Research Centre in Gandhinagar district. The minister noted that the Gandhinagar BSL-4 laboratory would be the second largest in India after Pune and would act as a protective shield for the nation's health sector by strengthening preparedness against high-risk pathogens. India's Vice President C.V. Radhakrishnan on Tuesday inaugurated the drug-free campaign in a campus at the University of Delhi, calling for sustained collective efforts to protect youth from substance abuse and realize the vision of Viksit and Atmanirbhar Bharat. The VP also launched an e-pledge platform and mobile application under the Nasha Mukt Parisar Abhiyan, urging students nationwide to participate. The centre has deployed a national joint outbreak response team to assist West Bengal for effective containment after 2 suspected cases of Nipah virus were identified in the state. The central government provided comprehensive technical, logistical and operational support to the state government for the effective management and prevention of the outbreak. Now, from the crunch of the famous til pitha and the melt-in-the-mouth goodness of narikol laru to the smoky flavour of sunga saul, Assam is all set for the festival of the year, that is Bhogali Bihu. The toil of farmers has fructified and is ready to be served on platters of Assamese households. DD India's Subina Roy takes us to the villages of Dakhankhana to experience the authentic feel of Bhogali Bihu.
A 67-kilometer drive from Dibrugarh lands us in the beautiful village of Kathorbari in Takwakhana, Lakhimpur district. Known for its rich natural beauty, especially during the mustard season when it's called the Yellow Paradise. A perfect sight to witness the authentic Bhogali festivities of Assam. Situated just next to the Brahmaputra river, each one of the villagers have their barns now filled with paddy, and now it's time to celebrate Bhogali Bihu. The first day of Magh Bihu is known as Uruka. The youngsters are busy cutting wood, preparing the traditional bhelaghors. This time they have decided on the theme of radio, as villagers still connect with the traditional media of Doordarshan and radio. A feast is being prepared by the youngsters of the Kathorbari village as they pass the night in the bhelaghors, warming themselves up by the fire and making use of the vegetables that they steal from the backyards of the villagers, which is considered an age-old tradition. The conjunction of the month of Posh and Magh is known as Bhogali Bihu in Assam, and during this eve you can see local women, local men, the villagers come together and celebrate the harvesting season, where each and every Assamese households have their rice barns filled with rice, and no household is left poor. And you visit any household of Assam and you will get food out there. And that is why it is called Bhogali Bihu. Happy Bhogali Bihu with DD Dibrugarh team, Subina Roy, DD India.
President Draupadi Murmu has invited the captain of the Indian blind cricket team, Deepika, to attend the Republic Day celebrations on the 26th of January this year in New Delhi. Postal officers visited Deepika's native village, Tambalahatti in Andhra Pradesh, and handed over the invitation to her. The captain expressed happiness, saying that it was a proud moment for her to receive an invitation from the president. She said attending the Republic Day celebrations in person would be a memorable experience and described it as a matter of great honour. India beat Nepal in the final to clinch the 2025 T20 World Cup with an unbeaten run. That's all we have for this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. And for those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India's mobile app. It's available on both Android and iOS. Just scan the QR code on the screen and download the app right away. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Gautam Roy, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.